bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Come on! Live from the... What?
Sita.
Sita.
Sita the dog is calling.
Sita, you're going to wreck it for everyone.
It's a great dog, that Sita.
It's a great dog.
Love her.
We'll let her, might as well just let her in at this point.
There she comes.
There you go. Live from the Gopher on Echo Village, it's our Wisdom of the Sages. I'm your host, Raghunath, and our co-host, Kaustubha Prabhu. And we are here with this incredible group of yoga students for this month. This is our yoga podcast that we do basically every day. And we're following the orders of the great masters, where we study sacred literature on a regular basis, and it starts to curb our abnormal tendencies towards illusion. That's an abnormal tendency. Our natural tendency is a spiritual tendency. We've just forgotten the path. So according to the Vedic teachings is we're all spiritual souls. We just forgot. And by hearing truth on a regular basis, it recalibrates the consciousness. It reawakens. You know, I like when you get that iPhone, when you're trying to figure out on the iPhone, it's got a compass app. You got to like spin it a few times, spin it around, and then it's like recalibrates. Okay, that's north. I've been heading south thinking it was north. I've been doing a lot of crazy things to have fun, and they all left me sad, brokenhearted, hitting my head against the wall. I want to recalibrate. That's where I'm at. And that's why we're here, sharing the Bhagavatam every day. And the Bhagavatam is the medicine for the conditioned soul. We say conditioned because the soul is pure, but it gets conditioned by the illusion of culture. Culture drags it left and right and up and down. It starts telling you the insane is normal. And it programs us on a regular basis. Why do we wear what we wear? Why do we act like we act? Why do we talk like we talk? Why are tight pants cool and baggy pants uncool? And then it shifts every 10 years. Why? Culture just demands it. That's what it is. And we just follow suit. And the fact is, there is a genuine culture of the soul. And that's what we reconnect with. We try to make, I use the example of this. Tell me if you like it.
Okay.
My wife's a good dancer. I'm a bad dancer. If we were to dance together, it would look very awkward because she's very good and I'm very bad. The body is like a dancer. And the soul has a dance. When that body, meaning the words, the thoughts, the actions move like the soul's actions, it becomes like a beautiful dance. Have you ever seen two people dance very nicely? It's almost like they're dancing as one. We are in training. The yoga system is training to make this big gross machine made up of the 5 gross elements and the 3 subtle elements to move as the soul moves.
You want to harmonize the body and the mind with the soul. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm using the dance analogy.
No, I like it.
I'm using the dance analogy.
I'm just making sure I understand the dance.
Yeah, that's the dance. That's the dance. And every now and then, due to my bad habits, due to my bad programming, and when have I been programmed? When did that start? Lifetimes. The yogis say it hasn't been It's not just because you're crazy dad. It's not because you're abandonment your mother. It's not because your brother beat you up. That programming, because you chose, you know your crazy family? You know that family you have that's crazy? Guess what? You chose them. You create in your insanity, you chose them. Don't blame them. You chose them. It's truthfully, the yoga system is genuine, radical responsibility. It's no longer blaming your abandonment. It's no longer blaming your trauma. It's going right down to, I got myself here, and I can save you a lot of money in therapy right now. Ready?
Sounds like therapy.
Hold it. Here it is. We
it.
got what we got. Now what? Now what are you going to do with what you got?
Okay. Perhaps a title for this.
You got what
Right,
you got. Now
down.
what? Anyway, we've had lifetimes of crazy stuff happen to us. Lifetimes of crazy parents, lifetimes of, and you know what? Whatever it is, we got it. Now what are we going to do with it? Let's move forward from now. Let's not keep on drawing from the past and creating my future with it, right? How am I supposed to move forward if I'm looking in the rearview mirror? Duh!
Makes perfect sense.
Right? Might be the first time historically that the speaker of the Bhagavatam ever said, duh.
Well, you've done a lot of historic firsts for the Bhagavatam. Pre-going podcasts, we won't quite get into all of it, but a lot of unique stuff was
Thank you.
Was accomplished.
Duh. Well.
So I know the answer to that question.
Please share.
What was it? You got what you got. Now what?
Now what?
Bhagavatam.
Now what? That's the You're good. You're good. By the way, if you enjoy this Bhagavatam class and you want to get on the live show, you're hearing this on the podcast. It's available through YouTube, by the way. You can subscribe on YouTube. YouTube, leave a comment, give us 5 stars. Apple Podcasts, go there. Even if you never listened to it, just go there anyway. Give a comment, leave 5 stars. It helps us with something or other. We don't even know what yet. We're figuring all this stuff out, but I think it helps. And if you have a question or if you want to get on the live show and you need the code to get on Zoom and you can join us live as long as you mute your mics.
One reminder, we have some unmuted mics here.
We have some unmuted mics.
And make sure that you're muted.
You just got to email Mara, our executive director and producer. Just throwing more titles on her. Co-captain of the ladies. What was it called?
Field hockey
Ladies
team?
field hockey team, Mara. You got to write her at wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com. Okay. So we're going to dive in. Now, before we start to read the Bhagavatam, we read our invocations. Guess what we're going to do today? One of the invocations is going to be one of the verses. How cool is that? Special day today.
I think so.
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. To our teachers, Om Agyana, Tamarandasya, Gyananjana Shalakaya, Chakshurun Midatam Yena, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. And we're off. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 15. 16. Hit it. Oh, this is another famous verse. There's another great verse. Where's our scribe?
So many.
These are all great memorizing verses. So maybe Lindsay Scott can put this up on the board. Sanskrit and English. Great one to learn. Oh, twice born sages. I'm going to read the Sanskrit.
Yeah.
It's so pretty. Shushro Sharadhanascha Vasudeva Kataruchi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punya Kirtan Sevanat. Oh, twice born sages. By serving those devotees who are completely freed from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. So, what happened to the... So here, you might say, ever try to chant japa? Anybody? First time, chant japa? Anyone ever try to do that? Hands on the beads. Oh, the teacher says, you just got to chant the holy name and you got to hear it. Okay, I can do that. That sounds simple enough. 3 mantras in, your mind is like, what's for breakfast? What's she wearing? What should I do today? I'm bored. Should I got to do this? Should I got to do that? The mind's all over the place. And to hold the mind in the mantra is very difficult. You want a quick fire way how to get better at your japa? Shushustro Shadadhanascha Vasudeva Kataruchi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra. You've got to find these sages that are freed from material vice.
And
render service to them.
Mm.
By rendering service to great souls, one develops Vasudeva Kataruchi, the attraction to hearing about Vasudeva.
People talk about blessings a lot now, right?
Give me
They're saying,
blessings,
like, even
Baba.
in the Western yoga world, everyone's saying stuff about blessings.
In the Western world there?
In the Western yoga world, I see people throw that out there a lot.
What, like what?
Like blessing, it's
Oh, they just say blessings in
they say
general. Blessings.
It's really
Blessings unto you.
Yeah.
They speak like in this old Shakespearean English. Blessings unto you.
But this is how one gets the real blessings. And it's saying the real blessings are that actually your desires start to change, your tastes start to change, and you gain an affinity. It says here for hearing the messages of Vasudeva or hearing of Krishna. That's where this is all meant to go to. That's where the yoga is meant to go to. That primary object of meditation, you become attracted to it. Have a question? Mogaji.
That was my question.
Where are the sages freed from vice? Here's the question. The question is that, well, I can't find a sage free from vice. Who do I serve? You want to go with that?
Well, I can if you like, but I mean, I would say you find someone that's more free from vice than yourself. At a distance. Yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways that we can serve. We can. Ideally, there are people that we have some faith in our life, and we should search them out, and we should pray to find them, and we should make that part of our focus. And then there are other sages that we can serve that maybe aren't even present. But that's usually requires we can imagine all kind of things too. So it's good to have someone in one's life. That's why these texts always recommend having a living guru, so that someone can kind of, rather than just operate on your own whim, someone can kind of give steer it a little bit.
I'd say the books in themselves. When we say service, it just doesn't mean do my laundry. Service is serving the message, the mission of these great souls. Yeah. And there's great souls throughout history who've spoken about the similar principles. In our class today, we're talking about there's details and then there's principles. Details will always change. Why? Because it's a new age. There's a new way. Now we're using a computer. But the principle is the same. We are having Harikatha. We're having transcendental discussions about divinity, which rain all this great information for us to assist us in the directions in our life. So that principle is there now. It's always been there. The details of how it's delivered, it will change as time goes on. But the idea is that the principle is there. So this message of the Bhagavatam is so powerful. Just to speak to it in a small group is serving the previous masters. That's what we're doing right. We're doing it. We're doing it right now. What do you mean? This isn't just service to the Swami Prabhupada who translated this book. This is service to the great masters before. Does that make? What do you think about that, Kaustubha?
It's true.
Right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, if you're fortunate, you meet someone in your life that you're like, wow, this person's not of this world. And if you meet people like that, when they just glance at you, you realize, oh my God, this person is empowered. This is the person has come into this world and is empowered. I want to render service to that person. So there's Vapu and Vani. Vapu means you serve the body. Vani means you serve the instructions, the mission, the deep principles that this person is teaching. What do you think?
Yeah, it's good. And I also am a little skeptical that we can't find someone. If we're really,
yeah, I'm a little skeptical of you, actually.
Where are you coming from with this question? Where are you
coming from?
Yeah, but we got to really try for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, me and Kaustubha were late today because we just had a great meeting with Raghunath Swami. Where do you find someone like Raghunath Swami on this planet? I met a lot of great people, holy people, saintly people. Never have I met a person like Raghunath Swami and the stuff he does. Tangibly, the stuff he actually does, right? From the altruistic things of feeding hundreds of thousands of people to creating ashrams and temples, influencing the big influencing like big thinkers of the day and talking heads of the word, talking heads of the day.
But I don't think
Whatever. You know what I mean? He's a mover and a shaker in the material world of spiritual information and directing the lives of people, changing our lives. I mean, I don't have to look that far. I mean, we are just talking with him right now. It's incredible. Okay.
I'm not sure if he needs all that light because this one may be doing it. Do you need that light?
Oh, they wanted to change our camera
it's getting
settings.
dark.
That's why it's getting dark, and we're getting darker and melting. If you want to see if you're listening on Apple Podcasts and you want to see these charming smiles of ours, you can go to YouTube and watch us as well. Someone put us on their big widescreen TV, so the show has actually become like a show. Okay. Anyway, that's a great verse. Rendering service to the great souls. Vasudeva Katarachi. Great verse to memorize for all you aspiring pundits. The next verse is another beautiful one. Text 17. Srinivatam Sva Kata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridayanta Stoya Badrani Vidunoti Saritatam. I've been coughing for like a month. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the super soul in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee. I love that line. He is the benefactor of one who is truthful, who is honest. What does real honesty mean? It means I understand my position in this world. We were talking about this word dina, like dina doyal. Some people translate it to be I am fallen, right? Or I'm the lowest. It's different than that. It's actually, we are looking at sand today. We are a tiny speck of sand in this universe. Now, we find our significance because we're spiritual beings. That's our significance. The tendency in the material world is, I'm awesome, I'm the best, I'm the center, and self-loathing. And their pendulum swings back and forth. Does anybody find that true sometimes in their life or feel themselves swing like that? Guess what? You're neither. You're not the center, and you're not a piece of crap. You are tiny. That's just reality. That's called honesty. When you understand our tininess, I mean, think about it. How tiny am I in this world? Tiny.
Okay.
And I'm short. I'm short and tiny. And I'm, what do you call it? And I'm all the plants are living, all the grass is living, all the trees are living, and then there's all the people in this country and all the people in the continent and all the people in the world. I'm tiny. To think I'm so it's such an arrogant. I'm steeped in arrogance. But it's not like I'm a piece of stool. Why? I'm a spiritual being. That's where I find my value. I am born with worth. I have worth from my birth. Hashtag that. T-shirt that. My worth is from my birth. So when we understand that we have spiritual worth, but we are tiny, guess what? Krishna favors you. When you really understand, this is my position. It's called Dina. I feel myself lowly. And then Krishna becomes Dina Bandhu. He's the dearest friend to those who have that deep-rooted honesty. Isn't that nice?
It is.
Krishna, who's the benefactor and the super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee. Listen to what he does. He cleanses the desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves
virtuous when heard and chanted.
Yes. The messages in themselves are virtuous when properly heard and chanted. You want to say something about that, Prabhu?
It's speaking about a topic that's very big in the Bhagavad Gita, and that also becomes very big throughout the Bhagavatam. We read, I don't know if it was the last show or the one before that, where the question was, the sages had originally questioned about the absolute truth. And he described that the absolute truth could be understood in three features. One of them being the impersonal energy of the absolute that's spread everywhere. And one of them being the personal form of the absolute truth. But this is speaking about what they call the localized, the form that, and a lot of people feel this intuitively, but that God is in my heart, right? That that I'm not alone, that there's another consciousness that's always with me. and that's called the Paramatama. And what this is saying is that that Paramatama, it responds when someone takes to this yogic path, that I want to fill my ears with transcendental knowledge, with transcendental pastimes, that is somehow beyond just the normal yoga that one can do, where one's kind of on their own. It's kind of depending on their own yogic strength, which quite frankly, we're all very weak at, you know. Like we've been to India many, many times, and we've wandered to different places, and we've seen and met certain souls that are able to perform austerities and renunciation, like just way beyond ourselves or the kind of people that we've grown up with and associated with. And those are, you could call them the real yogis in one sense. But this is saying you can also be a real yogi in another way, that you begin to become attached to hearing these narrations, and that there's something about that is so personally pleasing to that God within the heart. It says that he takes action himself and cleanses the heart from the desire to fall into illusion, the desire to that what we were speaking about last show, you know, that illusion that I'll find happiness through external things, which may seem it's so firmly rooted in us that we'll never get it out. Saying just by this hearing process, it's taken care of from within.
You know what, this is silly, but you know what this reminds me of? Whenever I hear this verse, anybody old enough that they remember what scrubbing bubbles were? It's like a spray, bathroom disinfectant that you spray, and they have these little cartoons of these scrubbing bubbles, and these like little scrub brushes, like scrubbing your toilet, scrubbing the bathtub. But this is like the hearing process, right? They're like little scrub brushes. And so this is like scrubbing bubbles, the scrubbing brushes on your heart. What it does, I'm going to read this again, it cleanses the desire. So I think of a cleanser, like a Ajax or something. Cleanses the desire of for material enjoyment. It's funny because in our life, we've like material enjoyment. That's a great thing. Why do you want to stop material enjoyment? You don't want to enjoy? No, we don't want immaterial enjoyment. And so what happens is you start developing an attraction to hearing the message of Vasudeva, and what it shines light on material enjoyment, and material enjoyment doesn't even seem so funny anymore. I mean, come on. You remember a time in your life where you thought staying up really late was fun, or going to bar, getting drunk out of your mind. Remember when that was fun? And going to a party was so much fun, or people just like talk about, yeah, we're going to get loaded tonight. It's going to be great.
It's crazy that people buy into that.
They buy into it. And you wake up, I can't wait. I slept till noon. I was so wasted last night. That's fun. That's fun. You got a delicate computer as a gift, as your brain. And I'm going to like pour. It's like pouring water on your computer. Pour water on your computer. What's going to happen? All of a sudden, it's going to make little. That is, whoa, look at the cool designs it's making. Is that a cool design? You're wrecking the computer, man. Or we're vomiting or getting sick. This is fun. So there's a time where you actually thought that this was fun. And then you got to a point where you grew up a little and you thought, that ain't fun. And a lot of you guys who've been serious about your spiritual life, serious about your yoga practice, tell me, doesn't it make you think differently about what you want to do on vacation? Like, I don't want to do that for vacation anymore. Don't you have people in your life that love you that go, what happened to you? You used to be so much fun.
And you lost the desire for material enjoyment.
That's what happens. You lose the desire for material enjoyment and sense gratification. By hearing these messages, let's read it again. Cleanses the desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear and chant his messages. The scrub and bubbles, they're working on our heart.
It's what it's really saying is that you become free, right? As long as we have that desire from it, it's not our desire. It's really just a desire that's programmed into the mind, and we're following it like slaves, right? The mind is saying you'll find happiness here, you'll find excitement over there, and we just follow it. But we're stuck. That means we're slaves to that mind. And this is saying that it cleanses that desire. When it says the heart, it means the mind. It's the same thing, right? That the heart means within the mind, those things that we hold very dear within the mind. And you become free of that.
And the beautiful thing is a lot of you guys here, a lot of the guys on the show, you've witnessed yourself change. Mm-hmm. Wait, why these people? Lindsay Scott, our scribe. The scribe. She's waking up at 4 a.m. in Texas, practically speaking, every day. Why? She's got some taste. She's got some taste, something that's touched her heart. And now I want to wake up early and do this stuff. And you nutcases, you paid good money, took time off work, who wake up early, sit on the floor. Some of the people you're even talking to, you're like, what are you doing? You're going to India to do what? Wake up. Like, that's not vacation. Vacation means all you can eat, big soft beds, sleep in late. You guys are backwards. It is. Spiritual life is the opposite. What's night is day, what's day is night. You like to stay up late, was calling to go to bed early. 10 o'clock, we're like way past our bedtime. Right?
Yes.
Great verse to memorize. Srinivatam Sva Kata Krishna.
Punya Shravana Kirtana. Vidyantasto Hibadrani Vidunoti Suhritsatam.
Wait, we didn't read that yet, did we?
Yeah.
That's one we just read. Okay. That's a great verse, 17 to learn. You got
18
where's Scribe G? Can she put that on the board? Oh, she did. She's so on it. Lindsay Scott. We miss you. Okay. Here he is. Here's our invocation verse. If you know it, say it. Nasta prayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. And just to recap in the last 3 verses, how do you gain affinity for hearing the message of Vasudeva? By serving the great souls, right? And then what do you do once you hear, once you get that taste?
Material enjoyment.
It scrubs your heart.
Gets scrubbed from that.
Scrubs away. And how do you get that? Right here, by regular attendance. And what's the result, the fruit of that? By regular attendance in class in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee. All that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely scrubbed.
Scrubbing bubbles.
And loving service into the personality of Godhead, who is Uttama Shloke. That's a name for Krishna. It's a name for Bhagavan. Uttama Shloke. The one who is praised with transcendental songs.
Like the Bhagavatam itself.
Yeah, it is established as an irrevocable fact. Like, no one's got to preach to you. No one's got to preach to you. No one's got to lecture you. No one's got to minister you. It will be established in your heart as an irrevocable fact. Like, I get it. I get it. Right?
Beautiful.
It is beautiful. I'm just going to read the
What's next? Oh, go ahead.
Let's dip.
Please.
Let's dip into the purport.
When you dip, I'll dip.
Anybody can pick up on that? I did. That was Kaustubha. That wasn't even me. That was Kaustubha. Okay. Here is the remedy for eliminating all inauspicious things within the heart. Everybody take a moment and just think of some inauspicious things you have in your heart right now. Just think about those things.
Resentment, anger, greed.
Yeah, you can just
Lust.
think about it.
Fear.
Kaustubha's naming the common ones.
Do you want more particular?
Anxiety. Anxiety. Well, yeah, no. You can get real dark real quick. Start looking at my heart. Mine is like a free fall to one of the lower planets. Let's just keep that door shut. Here is the remedy for eliminating all inauspicious things within the heart, which are considered to be obstacles in the path of self-realization. The remedy is the association of bhagavatas. There are 2 types of bhagavatas, namely the book Bhagavat and the devotee Bhagavat. Both Bhagavats are competent remedies, and both of them or either of them can be good enough to eliminate the obstacles. A devotee Bhagavat is as good as the book Bhagavat because the devotee Bhagavat leads their life in terms of the book Bhagavat. And the book Bhagavat is full of information about the personality of Godhead and their pure devotees, who are also Bhagavats. Bhagavat book and person are identical. Isn't that nice?
It's when you get on the spiritual level, the form doesn't matter so much. It's the substance. Right? So
Kaustubha always nails these one-liners, doesn't it? Okay. Let's make a post. Let's go to Canva and make a post out of that.
It's not the external form that becomes so important, but you can see that potent. In other words, like, what is a guru, right? A guru is one that carries a particular. It's like a guru is one that transfers spiritual knowledge, right? Becomes the conduit for spiritual knowledge, and that can take form in this particular person or that particular person, or it can come through in various types of forms. Transcendental knowledge can be delivered in different ways, and therefore, when we say guru, it's not necessarily a particular person that we're talking about. And so, similarly, when we say Bhagavat, there's the book Bhagavat, which is it's saying it's that Bhagavan, that supreme source of everything, in the form of a book, coming in the form of a book. The potency is exactly the same. There's no difference between the book and the being. And then it's saying also that just as that book carries that message, a human being can carry that message too. So if someone is regularly hearing Bhagavatam, if someone is living it, if someone, rather than being ruled by their material desires, begins to become ruled in the heart by this divine transcendental message, then when you connect with that person, it's just like you're connecting with the book. It's got that same potency. So there's the person and there's the book. And here it's really, we want to connect with both.
Now, the beautiful thing is everybody listening to this, even if you don't fully get it, you'll find yourself repeating it. I remember the first time on a regular basis, I used to just listen to the Bhagavad Gita. As a teenager, there was a little ashram, you know this place, in Greenwich Avenue, New York City. I used to go there. And they used to make vegetarian. I was a vegetarian. It was hard to find vegetarian food. They have a little vegetarian meal. To get the meal is a little tricky. You have to hear the Bhagavatam. That old trick.
You didn't show up late?
I tried to show up late, but I ended up, I just came. I didn't get kirtan. I didn't get it. Yeah. There was always some lady in the front going, "Hey, Mom!" I was like, what's up with her? What's up with her? Why is she so happy? She's got to be faking. No one's happy. And then but what I would do on a regular basis, I'd hear the message of the Bhagavat. I'd hear the Bhagavad Gita. And whether I liked it or not, it became the gold standard, or it became a sounding board for any other philosophy I heard. And when you're dealing with Bhagavat philosophy, it's not like a philosophy versus another philosophy. It's it sort of puts in perspective all other philosophies. You know what I mean? I don't feel like I'm cheating myself out of Christianity or Islam or Judaism. I feel like I'm creating a thread that's tying all these different philosophies together. And I'm also seeing where people's material philosophies fall flat. Because material philosophy, how to be successful in the material world, will give you some bonuses. It's just temporary. And so it's a great sounding board. Even if you're new to this stuff, just throw other philosophies at it, see how it sounds, see how it holds up. And if you can find something higher than love, I'm ready to join your cult. And I've been looking. I mean, I'm dedicated to a path, but if you got something higher than love of God and see God in everyone, I'm ready to join you. If you got something higher than that.
I don't have anything higher than that.
I don't think there's anything higher than that.
It's amazing, though. It's true. Like, if you associate with the book,
you become like the book.
And the way that we got into it is from these guys that were just like, I mean, they just weren't these typical sadhus. And we talked about this in past shows, but like the people that we were associating with were these like really street guys, right? Like,
not straight guys, street guys. Street guys.
Like they're our friends, but in a sense they're thugs, And
by the way, side note, did you know thug is an Indian word?
Had no idea.
Thug comes from a group of Kali worshippers that were really violent. They were called thuggies. Google it, Mara. Why is she knitting? Why is our executive producer knitting? You got to be there for Wikipedia. Google up thuggy. Yeah. YouTube that. I mean, look at that.
My point, these were uneducated people. These are people that were living a very different lifestyle than a yogic lifestyle. But because they're associated with those books, Srila Prabhupada's books in particular, that the whole message just came right through. And they were able to represent it. So like you were saying, it becomes a philosophy by which you were measuring all the other philosophies. And we saw that, like, these guys just had answers for everything. Whatever philosophical thing you throw at them,
They had a good answer for
they had
it.
a really good answer for it. And it was just all coming from this Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam.
And that's the other beauty about it. If I touch electricity, I'm electric. Then I touch him, he's electric.
Yeah.
And that's why a person studying this, even for a few days, can know more about practical, real life yoga than when someone's been practicing. We got some very famous yoga teachers in the United States that know nothing about the yoga system in its true context. They become sort of celebrities. They're very charismatic. They're very gentle speaking. They say the right yogic words. They're maybe very beautiful. Maybe they could do incredible backbends, whatever it is. If they're disconnected from the source of yoga, then they're just going to give you
something weak. Right?
Yeah. It could even be a nice thing, a healthy thing, a sattvic thing, but they're not going to electrify you. You don't have to have any charm, charisma, talent, and your backbend could stink. But you could have transcendental wisdom, even if you're a newbie, just by hearing from that original source.
Or just hand it down, even if, just by repeating it.
Just by repeating it.
That's what I'm saying. These friends of ours, they were just able to repeat it. They just got the basic understanding of it, and they just had the answer for everything.
Yeah. By the way, on a side note, don't you love Mara's phone? She has no password. What does that say?
She's a trusting person.
She's a trusting person. She's got nothing to hide. She's an open book.
She's an open book. See what we could find in there.
All right. Thug is a Sanskrit word from sthagati, or in Hindi, thug. In early 19th century, swindler or thief, based on Sanskrit sthagati, one who covers or conceals, arose in the mid-19th century.
How did you pick that up? How do you know that?
Because I just in my readings of things of India.
A very learned man, Raghu.
I'm learned of trivial trivia of India. That's one of my passions, trivial trivia of India. But that is sort of interesting.
It is.
I full on think I was Indian in a previous life.
No doubt. No doubt. No doubt about it.
And you know what? I love India. And we just had such a great day. I just want to share what we did yesterday. We were in Bombay, one of the biggest cities in the world.
It's called Mumbai for a long time now.
Mumbai. It's Mumbai for a while. All right. I like to speak in a 50-year-old language. Anyway, we were in Bombay and we went to this elephant island, this old island that the Portuguese discovered abandoned. In this abandoned island, there are these beautiful caves, right? I'm no tourist, but they're beautiful hand-carved caves of Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu, like mind-blowing. And we took a ferry. It's nice. We have a chant. We're driving this old rickety boat. It's like we're lucky we made it there. But made it across the Arabian Sea to this island, and then we walk up these steps. We had kirtan the entire way. And we were all, like, truthfully, on the way back, we were all exhausted. We were all, like, completely wiped out, and we were going to the temple restaurant for dinner. But on the way, we had to go to the bathroom. There's a bathroom right there. And it's right in this very big plaza where the Gateway of India is. Mm-hmm. So we said, you know what? We got to wait for people. Let's sit down and sing songs. And I tell you, there is nothing better than this public kirtan. Public kirtan does something. I was having a good talk with Mike Stone today about, because when you're doing it public, especially in America, if you do a public kirtan, it can be quite humiliating. It's sort of like, oh man, this is awkward. I'm like, say, if you're not, a lot of people don't like to do anything publicly. What to speak of, you have a robe on walking around New York. You're like, oh, I remember the first time I did it. I was like, oh man. Because in the material world, you have a conception of yourself of what is cool. And it might not be a big flappy orange robe diaper thing. So it was such an ego break for me to do it in America. And plus in America, people are like, what? But in India, there's a bunch of cops there and a bunch of tourists there. I'm going to post this on my Instagram at Raghunath Yogi later. But we just started chanting softly, and the crowd just packs in, and they're all smiling. They're all blissful. Even the cops are blissful. All the cops are devotees of Bombay. I swear to God, it's so deeply woven in what they are. Oh, it's like they're sort of standing there with a stick and a gun, but they're like, oh, Lord Krishna. Oh, Lord Krishna. And they just let us go. We weren't supposed to be there, but they just let us go. And then one lady breaks into ecstatic trance and just starts dancing, losing her mind, like, I've been waiting for this all day. And then for us as Americans or Europeans watching this lady's ecstatic reaction and how like, wow, this is actually in their soul. It's been programmed into them to sing and love God. It's such a beautiful thing to
very
witness.
deep
It
into
goes
the
so
culture.
deep. It goes so deep, right?
It does. The way that they respect it, right? They're so happy to see it.
They're so happy to see it. They're so happy. And that's what we do that's what pilgrimage is. Pilgrimage, we just do that all day long, everywhere we go, blow the Indians' mind. They join us. Our kirtan increases threefold because they all start following us around. And after the kirtan, what happened? The guy came up to us with bottles of water. Some guy who was selling water just offered them to because he wanted to render service.
That's the culture.
Wasn't that sweet? It was very sweet. And when you see, when you see that people with that heart like that, it changes your heart. You're like, oh my God, this is beautiful. So it was a beautiful day.
I missed it.
It was, well, we missed you, Prabhu.
Okay. So
Thank you,
time's
Mara.
flying by.
Time's flying when you're knitting.
You got to read this.
You want to read it? Please read.
This fits in with your one of your most popular hashtags.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Human reason fails to understand how by serving the devotee Bhagavat in the book Bhagavat, one gets gradual promotion on the path of devotion. But actually these are facts explained by Srila Naradadeva, who happened to be a maidservant's son in his previous life. Well, it goes on because later, just a little bit later in the Bhagavatam, we're going to hear about Narada's life and how he served these great souls and how through that he developed this deep, deep, deep devotion.
The backstory of Narada.
Yeah.
Very interesting. We've all got a backstory. Whatever you got right now going on in your life, good or bad or troubled or like high or wealthy or broke, there's a backstory there. There's a backstory from this life and from previous lives. We just see this life, yeah. Sometimes I deny what even happened, why I got here, what I got. I have a lot of responsibility for it. But there's a whole back side, almost like that I don't see. Pre-Raghunath, the soul had a whole different carcass. I was walking around.
Cows?
This is me. No, this is me. I was a milker of a cow. I was thinking more like a pedal bike, a rower. I was on a rowing team.
On the crew.
But
human reason fails to understand. It makes no material sense.
Oh, that's the hashtag. Makes no material sense. It makes no material sense. Okay. It's one of our big hashtags here on the show. Where are we at? 19. As soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. There we go. So this is the pain we suffer from. Lust, desire, and hankering. If I'm always hankering, I mean, lust, it just doesn't mean for sex. Lust can also mean I want. The whole premise of Buddhism is based on desires cause you pain. Why? Because they're living in your mind. They're saying, if I can just do that, and they force us to go forward, and they cheat us out of the now. So our desires have to be refined. Our passion, our hankering have to go away. And then a devotee is established in sattva, or in goodness, and he becomes completely happy.
You know, these verses are following, or actually other spiritual books are following these descriptions, but they describe these stages that one goes through in advancement in yoga, right? You know, sadhu sangha,
Shraddha.
or Shraddha,
Shraddha.
as they say, it begins with Shraddha.
A
Which
little bit
means
of faith, a little bit of reasonable
a
faith.
little bit of faith. These seem like good people, or this seems like there's something to this.
I like the way Kaustubha lives. I want to be like him.
Yeah, just
That's faith.
You can do better than that, but yeah,
You see the way a person lives and think, I like what he's got. I want to do that. I like the way she acts. I like the way she thinks. I like the way she speaks. I want to be like her.
So that's called Shraddha, or faith. And then that
Take
leads,
us on this ladder,
that takes
Kaustubha.
us to the next step, which is called Sadhusanga.
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 I want to associate with saintly people.
Everybody's doing it here. Everybody's, hey, those people are special. I want to spend time with them, right? Then that gives, it's really there that so much takes place, right? When you start to associate with people that are living this life.
What's this?
Real yogis.
Bhajana Kriya.
Bhajana Kriya. Kriya means like a purificatory kind of thing, and bhajana means through worship, but it really indicates that one gets set on a set path, like with regular sadhana, with regular practices. And through that bhajana, through that type of worship, or through that kind of practice, there's a purification that starts to take place. It means there one's getting some really good guidance, and they're fixing themselves on a practice now. And then comes a very fascinating stage.
Ruchi.
No, you're jumping way ahead.
Skip?
You're jumping way ahead.
I like to skip the rungs on the ladder. Bhajana Kriya.
If only we could. Nar. The. Oh. Boom! Executive director.
Oh! Anartha Vritti.
Anartha Vritti.
We start to get rid of our unwanted things in the heart.
Yeah. Artha means something valuable. Anartha means something that's not valuable, something
No
that's
value.
problematic. And it was talking about those problematic things being, all those problematic things in the heart. And then the word was used, naishtiki, which is the next one, which means one becomes fixed. So you get a little faith, you start to associate with spiritual people, you get put on a nice firm path, and you begin to follow it nicely. And then anartha nivritti, those inauspicious things in the heart, they begin to fade away.
This is the Bhakti Yoga ladder we're climbing.
Yeah. And then comes nishta, which means being fixed. Now I'm not fluctuating, because when we're practicing spiritual life, but we're immature at it, one day we feel spiritual and we're getting into it, and the next day we're kind of flaking out.
What the hell am I doing here? Who are these people?
Or even,
what have I got myself into?
I think I need a
Am
little
I
of
in a
this
cult?
again. I need a little of that again. So one way,
why am I wearing a giant robe all the time?
but one may waver and go back and forth. But when you hit that stage of nishta, you're fixed. You're no longer wavering. You are at this point, you are like a serious yogi. You're doing really well.
Nishta.
Yeah. And then comes
Ruchi.
Because you're so fixed, that taste, ruchi means taste. You start to really, just like we might have a taste for something material and we get a little addicted to it, you taste it for real. It's no longer just a fashion, the spirituality. You're really deeply tasting what spiritual life is, which leads to a shakti. You actually become addicted to that taste. You get a little crazy at this point, right?
Crazy.
It's like you're ruled by that now. You're ruled by that spiritual taste, and it's really moving you. And then you reach the stage, which is the birth of divine love.
Prem.
No, that's the next one. But bhava.
Bhava.
It's
Bhava wellness.
It's like the sprout of pure love for God, or that pure divine love. And then as that grows and it grows, it reaches the full blossoming.
I've really flunked this test, haven't I?
You're a little rusty on that one.
A little rusty.
Yeah, you had the executive.
Got a rusty ladder.
But that's called prema. Prema means love, but it doesn't mean just any kind of like material love. It means this divine love. It's entirely pure. And when that is really what the Bhakti yogis focus on, is the ultimate goal of life.
These were great verses.
Yeah. Those descriptions in books that we read, those descriptions, they're based on these verses. It's coming, as soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, they disappear from the heart. That's anartha nivritti. It's all going. Then the devotee is established, nishta. They're established in goodness, and he becomes completely happy. It's
amazing how our entire culture is based on the modes of passion and ignorance. And we say, because there's a pleasure in passion and ignorance. There's a type of pleasure, but it's like a dark pleasure. It's an unsatisfying pleasure. It's a pleasure that wrecks us. It's a pleasure that sometimes dismantles our whole life.
It's a false promise. It's promising happiness.
It's a promise of pleasure.
Yeah. I
Right.
need more of this. That's mode of passion. Mode of passion is saying, I need more. I don't have what I need.
When I get it, it's going to be great. So I'm going to work super hard to get it.
But the mode of goodness or sattva is like, I'm content with what I have, right? I don't need anything more to be happy.
Mm.
You know, I just need to go deeper within. That's reality. You know, that's clarity. But the more that we associate with the modes of passion and ignorance, the more we forget that clarity. We lose it.
Yeah. That's why I like Kaustubha's association. He brings me to goodness. That's why I'm so
Brings
calm
me
all
to-
the
You
time.
bring me to
That's
Sudha
why I'm so
Sattva, the
calm and connected
You bring-
all the time. My modes of passion and ignorance have melted away.
You're beyond it all. You are on that Shuddha Sattva, which means on the transcendental level. None of these things apply to you.
A living being in his normal constitutional position is fully satisfied in spiritual bliss. This state of existence is called Brahmabhuta. Or-
Brahmabhuta, Prasanatma, Nasochati, Nakankshati. You know that one?
Yeah.
Samasarveshu Bhuteshu, Vad Bhaktim Labhate Param.
Is that 18th chapter?
Yeah,
Brahmabhuta?
1854.
No.
1854.
It's
yeah?
14. The 14th chapter?
I forget.
The last verse of the 14th chapter. Boo!
14.
14th. Self-satisfaction is not like the satisfaction of an inactive fool. The inactive fool is in a state of foolish ignorance, whereas a self-satisfied Atmanandi is transcendental to the material state of existence. This stage of perfection is attained as soon as one is fixed in irrevocable devotional service. Devotional service is not inactivity, but the unalloyed activity of the soul.
We got to become Atmanandis.
Mm.
Our Ananda is found within the Atma, within the self.
Woo! Woo!
Looks like that when you get there.
Anyway, if you're listening to the podcast, Apple Podcasts, give us a like, give us a 5 likes.
It
No,
helps
5
other
stars.
people find it.
Yeah, it will. And thanks for joining us. Namaste. Everybody on Zoom, clap your hands. Get your hands together.
We're not clapping.
What's going on? Where's everybody? I'm doing the best dances I got here.
Do the light bulb. There you go. Do the motorcycle. Yeah.
Bottom. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.